Hello, my name is Kimberly. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. Today I will be demonstrating how to assess the flexibility for the straight leg raise, the Canadian trunk forward flexion, the YMCA sit and reach test, and lastly the chair sit and reach test. Before performing any of the flexibility assessments, you want to make sure your client warms up for at least 5 minutes at moderate intensity. The straight leg raise test assesses the flexibility of the hip extensors. These muscles tilt the pelvis posteriorly, and any disproportion between these muscles and your hip flexors can negatively affect the lower back. For this test, you will need a goniometer, which is a tool used to measure the angles and range of motion, and perhaps a yoga mat or something to lay on. So you want to have the participant lying supine, in other words on their back, and you want to make sure their back is supported snug against the floor. Next, you want to raise your client's right leg while ensuring that the opposite leg remains extended flat on the floor. You can use the goniometer and place it on the axis at the greater trochanter and measure the angle. An inclinometer could also be used, but will be placed below the tibial tubercle. After you get your measurement, you will do it one more time on the right leg, then switch to the left leg, and follow the same protocol twice on the left leg. Lastly, you want to record the angle and report whether the range of motion is acceptable or unacceptable. My client's angle was 90 degrees for both left and right, which is the desirable angle. A minimum angle of 80 degrees would be acceptable for the passive straight leg raise, but anything less than 80 is unacceptable. The Canadian sit and reach test assesses hamstring flexibility. The client will perform the 5-minute warm-up at a moderate intensity before beginning the test. For this test, you will need a flexometer, sit and reach box at the 26 centimeter mark. The client will sit without shoes and the soles of the feet will be flat against the flexometer. The inner edges of the soles are placed within 2 centimeters of the measuring scale. Make sure that your client has their hands parallel or with their fingertips overlapped. They should not be leading with one hand. Your client will reach forward with both hands as far as possible while exhaling and dropping the head between the arms while reaching. Ensure your client holds for 2 seconds. Their legs should be extended but not pressed down. The client is allowed 2 trials, and the score recorded is the most distant point in centimeters or inches reached with the fingertips between the 2 trials. After you record the best score out of the 2 trials, you can refer to the norms table for the Canadian test. However, this table uses a sit and reach box which 0 point is set at 26 centimeters, and we used a box set at 23 centimeters. Therefore, we will subtract 3 centimeters from each value in the table. The best score recorded for my client was 32 centimeters, so I would look under the women ages 20 to 29 group, and my client would fall under the good norms after subtracting 3 centimeters from every value in the table. The YMCA sit and reach, also known as the V sit and reach test, will assess hamstring flexibility. The client will perform the 5-minute warm-up at a moderate intensity before beginning this test. For this test, the equipment needed are a yardstick, tape, and a ruler to measure the tape. For the YMCA sit and reach test, a yardstick will be placed on the floor with a piece of tape across on the 15-inch mark. Your client will sit with the yardstick between their legs with the legs extended at the tape on the floor. Their legs should be extended but not pressed down. Your client's heels should touch the edge of the tape line on the floor about 10 to 12 inches apart. Your client will reach forward with both hands as far as possible while exhaling and dropping the head between the arms while reaching to ensure that the client holds for 2 seconds. Make sure they actually touch the ruler when they reach and make sure they are not bouncing. Your client has their hands parallel or with fingertips overlapped. They should not be leading with one hand. Your client is allowed 2 trials, and the best score recorded is the most distant point in inches between the 2 trials. After you record the best score out of the 2 trials, you can refer to the norms table for the YMCA test. The best score recorded for my client was 18 inches, so I would look under the female ages 18 to 25, and my client would fall under the below average category by age and sex. The chair sit and reach test is for older individuals 60 years or older. The client will perform the 5-minute warm-up at a moderate intensity before beginning the test. The equipment needed are a chair that are 17 inches in height against the wall so it doesn't tip over, and a ruler to measure the distance reached. Your client will sit at the edge of the chair and they are going to extend the right leg or the leg that is being tested, and they will place the heel on the floor and dorsiflex their ankle. The opposite leg will be flexed and with the foot flat on the floor. With the extended leg as straight as possible, your client will reach forward with hands overlapping and keeping their head in line with their back. Make sure head is not tucked, and as the client reaches forward to touch their toes, they should be exhaling and holding the position for 2 seconds. Once the client reaches for the toe, place the ruler parallel to the leg and record the score. The client is allowed 2 trials on both the left and the right leg. Aiming for the toe is good, but if you can go further, that's better. If you have someone who cannot touch their toe, then that would make the score a negative score.